Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Subway 2000 here, and this is my review on Godzilla Minus One. I'll cut it short, as much as I can, but this is still a long form video. I'm not really ready to make shorts yet. Maybe one day I will, but for now, let's just get to the review. So, Godzilla Minus One, as we all know, is a thriller sci-fi film released in 2023. Directed by Takashi Yamazaki, who also did the VFX for the film alongside his crew, and it's produced by Toho. Now, before I get to the review, I just want to put a disclaimer out. This is the first Godzilla film, like first real, true Godzilla film, developed by Toho themselves. Since 2016, that's when they made Godzilla Resurgence, or Shin Godzilla, as it originally was titled. Now, Shin Godzilla was a full reboot, ignoring all the events since the 1954 film. The 1954 film is not relevant in Shin Godzilla's timeline, and it isn't relevant in this timeline either. Now, take the Millennium films or Heisei films. Now, those were not necessarily reboots, but they were requels, you should say. Because now, let's say Godzilla 84, right? Godzilla 84 was a sequel to Godzilla 1954, and it ignores all the other 14 Godzilla films released in between that time period. Now, there are many Godzilla timelines. Now, Minus One and Shin are just in their own thing. Of course, they're two separate timelines, but yeah, Godzilla Minus One also follows that same formula of being a reboot, just like Shin Godzilla. Now, unlike Shin Godzilla taking place in 2012, I think, I remember, I might be wrong, but it takes place in the 1940s, Godzilla Minus One. Now, in the original, it was released in 1954 and took place in 1954, and it was a response to the Hiroshima-Nagasaki attacks done by America to Japan. Now, in that 9-year time gap, Japan had the time and resources to rebuild their country, but here, Godzilla appears right in front of them in the 1940s. Now, Japan was already at level 0 after World War II and the bombings and all that stuff, right? But then they have this new threat that basically wipes out almost 2 entire cities at once. I mean, it's been a while since I saw the film, so I don't remember everything correctly, but I do remember enjoying it a lot. It's a masterpiece. Minus One, you have to go see it. It's on Netflix right now. If you have that, you can go watch it. But yeah, so the film takes place in 1945, not 54, 1945 to 1947. So here, Godzilla is basically just again that metaphor of destruction. He's not necessarily evil. I mean, the only evil God, quote unquote, is probably Godzilla GMK. That movie was good too, but I can definitely see the similarities between the Godzilla from Godzilla Minus One and the Godzilla from Godzilla Mothra King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All Out Attack. Man, what a title. 23 years later, that title is still so... It's so bad that it's so good at the same time. But anyways, getting back to his point, he's just a metaphor of destruction, like he always was. But here, it's not just destruction, it's despair and death and just all of that stuff. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The characters in this movie are just so well written that this probably is the best Godzilla film ever made, and that will probably ever be made. Hopefully that isn't the case. Maybe we can get even more better films, better than this one. But this one really set the standard for what is about to come. And yeah, it's just a really good movie all around. You should definitely go see it, as I said before. The human characters are really good. None of the human characters' scenes or segments do I feel is filler. Of course, like I was watching Godzilla vs. Biollante the other week. It took like an hour for Godzilla to erupt out of the volcano. The entire time I was just waiting for it. I mean, I'm not saying I dislike that film. It's just some of the human narrative is just not that good. But here they excelled at that human storyline, and it makes us want more for like any future sequels. And when you think about Godzilla films, people watch Godzilla films for the monster or the monsters, right? Or kaiju, as they're called. But here, it's not just the kaiju that's the star of the show. It's the entire cast of human characters, and it's the entire narrative. It's a flippin' masterpiece, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I watched it in Japanese originally. It was amazing. The atomic breath scene, or the heat ray, as they call it here, right? It sent chills down my spine. That's the first time that I've ever experienced that from a movie. I know many of you have probably experienced that before, but it's such a good film all around. And the fact that they made it for $15 million US, or even less than that, as the director confirmed, it's just like so mind-boggling that these like big blockbuster movie companies are taking like $200 million budgets and use like half of it for marketing, and the films itself are like mediocre. Take like, okay, I'm not trying to be a hater, but take like Marvel or Star Wars, for example. Now, I'm a big Marvel guy and a big Star Wars guy. And just like the corporate like idea, it just kind of ruins the entire thing. Because you have this big budget, and yet you're not like utilizing it. And that's what this film does. It utilizes the very little budget that it has, and it uses it for basically everything it could. And it does it better than like most Hollywood films, or even all Hollywood films. And that's what I love most about it, is they're being resourceful. I'm looking at you, Disney. But yeah. Now there was this entire myth going around when the movie was about to release that Oppenheimer was a prequel to Godzilla Minus One. Now, I'm just here to break it to you. That is not the case. Oppenheimer and Godzilla Minus One, while they share the same narrative, like about the atomic bomb, they are not related to each other in any way, or any way possible. Like, especially in the production. Like, Oppenheimer didn't premiere in Japan until, like, early 2024. But, like, the stories didn't really have anything to do with each other. Sure, I mean, it makes sense that Oppenheimer is a prequel to Godzilla Minus One. Like, you can watch both these films as, like, a duology, I should say. But, yeah, that's not the case, right? It's not a prequel to Godzilla Minus One. Godzilla Minus One is not a sequel to Oppenheimer. That means basically every other Godzilla film is a sequel to every other documentary made about the atomic bomb. So, yeah, I'm just here to bust that myth. So, yeah. Conclusion, Godzilla Minus One, 10 out of 10 Godzilla movie. What a time to be a Godzilla fan, you know? You should definitely go see it. You don't have to be a Godzilla fan to enjoy this film. You just sit back and enjoy. Okay, it's a fun ride. All right, see you.